Tuesday, September 19th, and time now for another check on the tropics. And we have something interesting that could try to develop off the southeast coastline. We'll talk about that. And Hurricane Nigel, which is a Category 2 storm, what could potentially become Ophelia here coming off the coast of Africa. But first we'll focus here on Nigel, which is strengthened into a Category 2 storm, that area that has about a 30% chance of development as we head later into the week. And of course, this area has a 70% chance of development. But here's Nigel. Again, it has strengthened into a Category 2 storm. Now, it does have a very large eye, about 75 miles across, and typically when you have such a large eye like that, we don't get a lot of rapid strengthening or weakening with the system, and that's pretty much been the case. It's still here well east of the island of Bermuda. At one point it looked like it was going to try to strengthen into a major Category 3 hurricane. Hasn't really been able to do that, but it is a Category 2 with winds of 100 miles per hour. It is moving to the north-northwest at 14, and it is going to be picked up by a front and quickly race off towards the north and east. And as we head into the weekend, be here close to the island of Iceland, and with winds of 45 miles per hour as an extratropical low. That will be the only threat to land, and by then it will be weakening, so no major threats to land as this storm strengthens here into this Category 2 with winds of 105 miles per hour, and then eventually starts to weaken. Now let's talk about what we're looking at late this week off the southeast coastline. We have a front that's stalled across Florida right now, and it's sort of related to the same front that kept Hurricane Lee well off our coastline, and it's sort of stalled down here across parts of Florida. It is not uncommon as we head into later September and early October to see what we call these homegrown tropical systems, or maybe even subtropical systems, try to develop. You have winds coming in here out of the north on the north side of the front and out of the south on the southern side, and just by the very nature of a front, we sort of see a little bit of spin right along the front, a little bit of vorticity. And it's not uncommon to see an area of low pressure try to develop here north of the Bahamas, off the Florida coastline, or off Georgia or South Carolina, because the waters are very warm. You have the Gulf Stream that is right there. Already the Atlantic is warmer than average, so we have some very warm water there, a little bit of rotation that might try to spin up, and we could see this area of low develop here off the coast of Florida or South Carolina or Georgia as we head late this week. At the same time, we have this big ridge of high pressure off towards the north. It'll set up over New England later this week. And then as we go into the weekend, that high is going to drift offshore, allowing a little bit of a window for this low to develop and work its way off towards the north. Now, low pressure rotates counterclockwise, high pressure rotates clockwise, and the difference of the pressure between the two, what we call the pressure gradient or the pressure gradient force, forces those winds to become stronger and stronger. And even if we don't get a tropical system or even a subtropical system developing, just the pressure difference between the high and the low will cause some pretty windy conditions as we head here into this weekend up and down the eastern seaboard, but in particular from the Carolinas here through Virginia. And with that rain moving in, we'll see the potential for some heavy rain through coastal areas. Now, it'll mainly be concentrated through coastal Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Of course, we've already seen quite a bit of flooding from some coastal rains through areas around Charleston just within the past week. New England has seen flooding from heavy rain, and of course they had the remnants post-tropical storm Lee move through. But this low is going to try to move up the coastline, and that will lead us to the potential for 2 to 4 inches of rain through coastal Carolina, up the Delmarva, and through areas of eastern New Jersey. Once you get inland, even say, a couple hundred miles, we should see 1 to 2 inches of rain back through central Virginia, North Carolina, and Washington, D.C. But it's the potential for some of that heavier rain, especially late Friday and into Saturday, that we could see the potential for some flooding issues here across coastal Virginia, North Carolina. Here's Friday morning through Saturday morning. Most of this will be later into the day, Friday and Friday night, at least for coastal Virginia and North Carolina. And then Saturday morning into Sunday, possible flooding issues all across eastern Virginia, North Carolina, and up the Delmarva through Delaware and Maryland, and even up towards Washington, D.C. If we get some of those heavier downpours that come in, it overwhelms the storm drains, and you can see that flooding in some of the low-lying or even urban areas. So that potential is there. Also the strong gusty winds, gusting over 40 miles per hour. So it doesn't matter whether it's a subtropical storm, a tropical storm, or just a regular old area of low pressure. The effects that we will likely see will be pretty much the same, with heavy rain and gusty winds as we head through the weekend. So let's take a look at the European model, we're taking a look at the low-level atmospheric spin. Here's that front that I was talking about that stalled. Here's Nigel out here in the Atlantic, and we have that low that is up across areas of New England. As we get here into Saturday, this is 2 o'clock Saturday, you can see that spin developing here off of South Carolina and stretching off towards the north. The European model is a little bit slower with the system, so that's why there's still a little bit of uncertainty into the Saturday and Sunday forecast, but the same general ideas there, just a little bit of a difference in the actual speed. So this is Saturday, 2 o'clock off the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. And then as we head into 2 o'clock Sunday here, if it is a tropical system, we can say making landfall. That's really, again, just mincing words here. But over southeastern parts of North Carolina Sunday, lifting off towards the north and east. And here's another system, that one that has 70% chance of development. You can notice the European model brings it here north of the Lesser Antilles. This is next Thursday, so a week, more than a week from today. Something else that we'll have to continue to watch. Let's talk about the American model. Again, a little bit different as far as the timing. We can still see sort of that front right in there, going all the way up to that low up through New England. There's Nigel, well east of the island of Bermuda. And as we head into the weekend and late this week, you can see that low developing. And notice this is Saturday, 1 to 2 o'clock. Remember, the European model still had it down towards the south. The American model a bit faster, still the same general idea, coming up through eastern Virginia, North Carolina, and then racing up towards New England into Sunday. Still will mean rain as we head into the weekend. And then here's that other system that we were watching. Remember, the European model had it here north of the Lesser Antilles. The American model brings it as a pretty strong hurricane here just south of the island of Hispaniola. So some uncertainties with that system as well. Again, this is well over a week away, a lot of time to watch it. But again, the potential for some heavy rain, some gusty winds along the eastern seaboard as we head into this weekend. Of course, as we get a little bit closer, the forecast will become a little more fine-tuned. And of course, we'll have updates throughout the week.